I have been looking forward to this interview for a long time. This person has been a friend of mine for years, and his story is not only about music, but also about overcoming adversity and showing grit. He lives near Washington, D.C., and is a bugler in the U.S. Army's elite Old Guard. Meet Francis Franqui. How is it out there on the East Coast right now?
You know what? It's actually fairly nice. Now it's gorgeous outside, 75 degrees. We're having a great time. We love out here. We love Virginia. I got to say, I do miss Texas a lot.
What is it that you do musically now as a career?
I actually am an official bugler for the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps here in Washington, D.C. We are the official escort to the president. People from different regions of the world come visit, heads of states, prime ministers, presidents come in to visit us at the White House. And our group, the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, is in charge of providing support musically to these heads of states. My other most important duty, I think, is playing taps for funerals.
I don't know that that many of our students have been to a ceremony or the arrival of a head of state. What kind of music do you provide for that?
We actually provide mostly what is called martial music, which is military-based music. All our music's usually from around the Revolutionary War era. So it's really old music. It's all based on old fife and drum music.
And what exactly is a fife?
Fife is like it looks like a flute, but it's made out of wood and it's about this big. In the old days, the Revolutionary days, when we used to wear the tricorns and the wigs, it was used as a communication instrument. It was so loud that you can actually hear a mile away, and that's why they used it to communicate with the soldiers.
You play the bugle. Can you explain what that might look like?
The bugle is like a really short trumpet. There's one that has no valves and only plays open notes. Ours is a special bugle and only has one valve. And the one valve you usually play with the thumb instead of your first three fingers. I actually have one right here. Would you like to see it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's the instrument that I play.
Oh, wow.
And you can see it's very similar to a trumpet, but it only has one valve. We have to use it with our thumb. See how much bigger that is?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Compared to my little tiny bugle.
I know that you didn't start out in the Old Guard. What was the process of getting involved in this group?
It was a long road for sure. I started out in middle school band. I played trumpet through middle school and high school. I went into college to be a physical therapist, actually. But I wanted to keep up with music. I tried out for the concert bands and the wind ensemble. I found myself auditioning for more and more groups and wanting to be more into music. So I switched majors my sophomore year of college. Once I did that, all my classes were pretty much music. And soon after that, I auditioned for a Broadway show called Blast. I was very fortunate enough to be chosen to be in the touring cast of that. I toured all over the country, a million cities. I can't remember how many cities. Once I got done with that, I went back to teaching. I was a high school band director for 7 years. And I missed performing so much that I spoke to my wife and I said, what do you think about military bands? And at the time, I was 35, so it was like my last chance to join a military band. I auditioned for a military band, and after going through basic training, as you did, they put me at Fort Hood in Texas, which is how I met you. I think halfway through my second year, one of my buddies who's in the Fife and Drum Corps here in D.C. called me up and said, Frankie, you'll be very competitive here. Why don't you take an audition? You should try out. And I decided to try it again. And I worked really, really hard. I pretty much spent the next 3 months really working on trumpet, just practicing every chance that I got. And they called me and they said, why don't you come up to DC and we would love to hear you play live. I had to prepare all new music again. The whole audition, all 3 rounds, I kept getting better and better and better. And it turned out that they ended up hiring 2 buglers for this job, and I was one of the 2. When I first got there, I was completely starstruck, and I was so giddy about it. I remember one of the last rounds, I had to play with a section of the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, and it was myself and 3 other players from the Old Guard, and I was completely starstruck. I was so nervous because I thought these guys were like the the coolest people and best players ever. But just like you said, they're just people, just like you and me. They just work really hard at what they do.